Hello. Today's video is going to be some example solves where I'll be analyzing the effectiveness of each solution as well as explaining my thought process in the moment. So let's get into the first solve. Nice. So this solve is a 6.36. It was very efficient and there was some luck involved, but for the most part it was really straightforward and there wasn't anything fancy done in order to enhance the solve. It was a pretty straightforward CFOP solve, standard. And so straight away when I was inspecting, I saw a very easy cross in white. I do most of my solves in white. And I also knew that there was a pretty easy first pair, which was these two that I was looking for. And so basically to solve the cross, I did a D and brought all the pieces in by doing an L and an R prime and an F. So I solved the cross relative to the centerpiece by one move. And I did a D to solve the cross finally. And while doing a D, I knew that I just needed to do a U to get a pair here. And this is a perfect case because this is ready to solve into the back immediately. So without even thinking, I just needed to put that into the back and we had our cross and first pair done. Now here's the thing about planning first pair and inspection. It's pretty easy to look ahead into your further pairs while doing the cross and first pair. This allows for more continuity in the solve as well as a smoother transition between cross and F2L, and this can really shave off a couple seconds on your solve, definitely. And so while I was solving my first pair, I looked at my second pair immediately, which I think I solved like this. I did a U2 and then I solved them into the back once again. Notice how I'm only solving my pairs into the back. This essentially allows for me to have my final two pairs in the front, which is the most ideal situation you can have in F2L. One of the most, because see, since I'm solving it into the back, I don't have to worry about the back. I don't have a rear vision, so I don't need to worry about pieces in the back or anything because I have everything in front of me. I decided not to go for these two because I was able to see ahead that if I went for these two, I would have a terrible case. In fact, a horrific case for these two. So immediately I went for these two because it was the easiest, and then I knew that I would get a really good case for these two. I knew that I was getting a soon, so I immediately did a U prime. And this is something that you pick up with practice and with experience. So I was able to predict my PLL. I was not able to predict which angle I'd get it from, but I was able to predict which PLL I'd get. But I knew that since these two are opposite, I'd definitely, and I have a block over here, I definitely get a T-perm. And this is something that's pretty distinguishable. There are harder cases, but I got lucky with a pretty distinguishable case. So as soon as I did this, I knew I got a T-perm, so I went ahead and did my PLL. So pretty straightforward solve and pretty lucky, I'd say. Great. So this solve was a 7.84. It was quite rocky and wasn't the best in terms of execution, but it had a good solution, so let's get right into it. I had a pretty basic solve to cross to solve, and I knew that while solving my cross, I wanted to pair up these two. So to solve the cross, I did a D, R prime, F prime, and I had the first three edges solved. As you can see, this pair was formed, and I knew that since it's over here, it wouldn't be disrupted when I do the remaining moves of the cross. To finish up the cross, I did a D prime, R prime. So basically, I misaligned the cross and inserted this, and aligned it once again to finish it off. Right after the cross was done, I went straight into solving this pair. Notice how I solve it into the back, because solving pairs into the back is so efficient. The next pair I wanted to do was these two, and here's where there's a little bit of inefficiency, but it did reward me with some luck, because when I did a cube rotation and a U2 to solve these like this, I got a good solution for these two that I went into immediately. And while solving these two, I saw that these two were going to be put in a very nice case as I inserted these two and went immediately to insert these two. So that was the after well. It was pretty fast actually, but it's mostly because the last two cases were pretty lucky. For the last layer, I had a pretty standard OLL and PLL. A good 6 move OLL, but a very bad PLL, and there was nothing much to this. It was pretty straightforward. And yes.